About 2 hours ago, rider sign-in in Park City. Tom Danielson wearing yellow. Closest competitor, Chris Horner, set for the final day of racing. We'll have it all for you. Final stage of the Tour of Utah coming up next. When Stage 6 rolled out of Salt Lake City Saturday morning, this is a whale of a climb. Nearly 10,000 feet of climbing was staring the riders in the face.
And a big decider here is the elevation.
But the Wasatch Mountains would whittle the field of contenders down to a group of 4.
Cadel Evans, this race could be his race today. The veteran from Australia trying to gun down the 22-year-old American.
Former Tour de France champion Cadel Evans outsprints Joey Rosskopf for the stage win. Cadel Evans out of the saddle. He's got Rosskopf. Cadel Evans, the former Tour de France winner, will win stage 6 of the Tour of Utah. Today, Empire Pass and 78 grueling miles are all that stand in the way of Tom Danielson successfully defending yellow and securing consecutive Tour of Utah titles. The 10th edition Tour of Utah winds up now. Empire Pass in all her glory waits the riders for Stage 7 of the 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah. Stage 7 presented by Valcom Barracuda, getting IT right. The finish in a beautiful resort town of Park City, Utah, and the fans have already jammed historic Main Street. It is going to be a whale of a finish. Hi, everybody. Steve Brown, along with Todd Gogolski. Welcome to our final stage in the 10th Tour of Utah here in Park City, the Empire Stage. It should be a great finish.
Should be a real doozy today. Some big climbs, and both of them late in the stage. Empire grade, absolutely brutal. Had been one of the hardest climbs I'd ever seen until they added Powder Mountain this year on stage number 4.
Well, yesterday wasn't chopped liver either as they came up to Snowbird, and Cadel Evans, the former Tour de France winner, exerting himself and showing what a veteran can do with the right tactics.
Well, he had to try and get some of the other men in the break to work that didn't want to really contribute as much as he wanted. Joey Rosskopf, the young American there, was the last man with Cadel coming into the finish, but Cadel came around him, had more left in the legs in the sprint up to Snowbird.
And Cadel Evans with the stage win draws ever closer to the yellow jersey. He certainly was pleased with the stage win, but he's got a long way to go. In fact, everybody does if they're going to crack Tom Danielson, because TD stayed in yellow 57 seconds over his nearest competitor. And we look at the overall GC, he's in a good position, Todd, as he comes into stage 7.
Not only is he in a good position, but he told me just before the race started that he feels good and his team is motivated. Horner at 57 seconds. Hermans was tied for second, but he dropped down. Cadel Evans still over 2 minutes back. These are some of the other men in the top 10. It's still really Tom Danielson's race.
Yeah, and he knows it as well as they head into stage 7. And this one, tough does not begin to describe it, because you've got a couple of climbs today, but the one at the end is the one they're all going to be pointing to, Empire Pass.
Well, they've already gone through the sprint in Camas, then up the climb there at Wolf Creek Ranches. That's a tough climb, the big descent where they are now, and they still have Empire Pass to make it to the finish line, over 8,000 feet at the top. It is a brutal day of climbing, and then a wicked descent into Park City.
The climb up to Guardsman's Pass from Park City, which also goes over Empire Pass, is one of the toughest climbs in North America. It truly is. It's technically one climb, but there's 2 portions of it. You've got to climb up to Empire Pass, close to where we are right now. And then they've got a slight little downhill to the final kicker up to Guardsman's Pass.
I'd say Empire Pass is probably my favorite climb in the entire world. It's at altitude, it's really steep. I like both things.
Empire Pass is the only climb of the year where we have special gearing just for it. You know, we keep SRAM 32 tooth cassettes in the trailer all year, and they don't get put on until Empire Pass.
Empire Pass is absolutely brutal, and if you throw in the little bit up to Guardsman's Pass like we are on stage 6, they're the ugliest, most violent climbs that we see in North American cycling.
Maybe even uglier than some worldwide. The Angliru is one of the tough ones in España. Empire, how it stacks up statistically.
Well, here's the big difference between these climbs, and this is what we've been saying all week. It's the altitude here in Utah. The guys cannot get the oxygen they're accustomed to. The Empire Pass starts at the maximum elevation of the Angliru, which is used in the Vuelta, and then goes up 3,500 feet from there. So the climbs are similar, but the altitude is completely different.
Well, they got started at 20 minutes after noon here on Park City's historic Main Street, and the crowds had already ballooned. Thousands of them out to greet the riders, and they will swell even further when they come in to finish here. The cowbells were going, the riders with that neutral start, and an early attack. Wouldn't be a tour race if it wasn't Jens Voigt on top.
Jens really going for it there, trying to make it into that early break, but everybody had his number, and he was not able to sustain that breakaway. Then they came into the first sprint in Camas earlier today. Yuri Kotyan for Smart Stop, the man who has been 3 times second on the stage and has spent some time in the overall leader's jersey, won that sprint and has a very handy lead in that best sprinter competition.
Then we got a breakaway early, and it was 8 at the start as they finally got away. We had some earlier attempts, but these guys finally got off.
A lot of work for these guys to get away today.
It's not going to be easy, and staying away, of course, is the question. And now we go to live racing. The breakaway has been pared down a little bit as they come up Wolf Creek Ranch KOM. Park City, well, it was a 78-mile stage. They've got some of it under their belt, but it's not going to feel like it, Todd, when you still have Empire Pass to go.
And unfortunately for these guys, not a lot of time to take in the views of the quaking aspens that they're riding through. Beautiful part of the country. I actually previewed this entire course last Friday just to make sure I had it all fresh in my mind. But these are the men in that breakaway. A great group of riders, including Tanner Putt from Park City here.
Yeah, he's got to be happy to be in there. By the way, he won the KOM uncontested over Wolf Creek Ranch. Here's a look at the profile. This is where they are. They've got the Wolf Creek Ranch top to summit there. You see in yellow is what remains. Then the descent, and then of course they come up the Empire Pass stage, and that highly technical descent really coming down into Park City. Just because you get across the top at Empire Pass doesn't mean it's a foregone conclusion that you make the safe trip on the way down.
It's for sure a very tricky descent, and these are the riders' feed. They're the soigneurs in the feed zone, the Smith's feed zone, and what they will do is they will be handed up musette bags full of a couple of bottles and some other food items to keep that motor running.
We saw yesterday one of the musette bags getting tangled in Javier Acevedo's back wheel because it spilled. He tried to get rid of it, and it nearly cost him some time. He was able to make it up, but it is not a foregone conclusion again either that you come right through a feed zone safely. A lot of congestion there as we look at the peloton in chase, and that group out front 3 minutes ahead, and we'll continue as they wind their way up Wolf Creek Ranch KOM, returning with this final stage of the 10th Tour of Utah. The 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah is brought to you by the Utah Office of Tourism, Life Elevated, Zions Bank, we haven't forgotten who keeps us in business, University of Utah Healthcare, your choice, our experts, and by Washakie Renewable Energy, securing a greener tomorrow.
Every season is an invitation to visit Eastern Summit County, Utah. Explore a world where the roads lead to endless adventure. The waterways take you on spirited journeys. The winters are a recreational paradise, and the towns welcome you with open arms. Eastern Summit County, Utah is inviting you. Start your adventure today at visitparkcity.com.
That gray din we call the inversion is nothing new to the Wasatch Front, but it doesn't have to be. Washakie Renewable Energy, a proud partner of the Tour of Utah, is leading the Intermountain West to a future where our air is clear, clean, and healthy. WRE produces 20 million gallons of biodiesel annually from sustainable products, including used cooking oil, which cuts air pollutants by nearly 200,000 tons. To turn your used cooking oil into a greener tomorrow, go to grease2green.com or look for WRE at the Tour of Utah.
This is what we've been waiting for. And here he goes. He's using all of his tools to his advantage, but boy, is he making this look easy. There he goes, gets into space, jukes left, and to the rack, and brings the hammer down. Oh, that's money.
Say hello to the game changer. The Larry H. Miller app is putting the mobile back in your automobile. Schedule a service appointment, browse our inventory, or stay on top of your car's needs, all through your smartphone. Available on the iTunes and Google Play app stores. Driven by you.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Heroes of all shapes and sizes will use their pedal power to make wishes come true. And in the process, you could win a Scott Carbon road bike and other great prizes. Booyah! It's the 4th annual Million Miles at Miller Charity Bike Ride presented by Mountain America Credit Union, benefiting Make-A-Wish Utah and Larry H. Miller Charities, Saturday, September 13th at the Megaplex Theaters in the District in South Jordan. Claim your hero status at millionmilesatmiller.com.
Stage 7 continues here in the Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah. We welcome you back the 78 miles from Park City to Park City. And they've got 1 KOM to navigate, and then they've got one more, which of course is Empire Pass. The 7 men in this lead group right now. You get a look at them. Christian Salerno's there, Chalingi's there, Jake Crawford, Jacob Rathley, Matt Cook, Tanner Putt, the Park City rider, and then James Oram on the end of that to number 158. And we've already lost another abandonment. One of the early men who went out in that group, Joe Lewis, had been dropped, and then he has now abandoned the race. But this group continues to grind up front, and they will try and get into to Park City with some kind of a lead. Good luck on that one. One of the men, of course, in the peloton is the man in second place, Chris Horner, and earlier today he spoke with our Craig Hummer.
One stage left, 57 seconds down. It's clear what you have to do, but describe some of the nuances that are going to get you there.
Well, the biggest nuance is if he's climbing better than you, there's not much you can do. So tactically, of course, we have Winter there, so Winter can follow a couple moves, so I don't have to actually follow everything either, so Winter can go, and maybe Winter can win the overall too. That's a high probability there with him. He's riding really good. If the weather's much better now than it was yesterday, I suffered a lot on the penultimate climb yesterday. The weather changed and we got a little bit of sprinkles, so they had a lot of humidity and it made it difficult to breathe. Probably the worst climb I did the whole week for sure, because I suffered a lot. But the last climb was a little better. It dried a little more, and wasn't as quite as bad. But with Winter on the team, we stand a good chance of technically something going our way. And with the descent too, you can just jump away and gain, a minute really fast too. So
without conceding anything, let's jump ahead a couple weeks and talk about what you've really been here for, which is to train for your defense in Spain. How do you feel this week's prepped you?
Yeah, this week it's went really well. Aside from, I was hoping the antibiotics would kick the sickness and be completely done and over with. It's still there a little bit, but hopefully this next week with rest will be enough. Clearly legs are better now than they were last year here. Even with the sickness, I think I'm riding stronger. So for that's a plus. I'll go back to San Diego, rest a little bit, see my doctor again to try to see if he can figure out how to cure the lungs. And if he can cure that, then I think Spain will go really well.
Wouldn't hurt to leave here with a stage win, though, would it?
You always want to win. There's no doubt about it. A win, I mean, second is good, but you get a list as long as my arm of seconds, and so win is always hard to come by. So absolutely, win be fantastic.
Well, question is, will he have the lungs and the legs, and will he be able to get there? And maybe that 57 seconds may look a little bit daunting there, and it sounds to me like, Todd, that he is more concerned with his teammate maybe riding for the GC than the ability to close the 57 seconds himself, or is that playing a little possum?
Sometimes what they want to do is exactly the philosophy that Cadel Evans had yesterday with BMC. You got a guy, Cadel had Ben Hermans, his teammate, 2 men trying to get away from the peloton here. And if you got a teammate who's a danger man, then you can send the other guy up the road and put them in pressure. So you have a two-pronged attack, and this is actually Salerno and Tanner Putt off the front of that breakaway group. Now Salerno, just so you know, he's a great climber. He actually beat the climbing sensation Nairo Quintana last year in the Volta Catalunya in the King of the Mountains classification. Quintana went on to be second overall in the Tour de France and really was the best climber on the entire circuit. So Salerno here, he is a man to be watchful of. This is the man in the green jersey of Cannondale. Now Tanner Putt, well, he's from Park City. I spoke with him this morning. He feels great. He's motivated. He wants to make it happen here today. This is not his type of course. He's not a man for the mountains, but he's in the break, and don't count him out.
Well, adrenaline will take you a long way as well, Todd. You know that from your racing career. You get that right day, you just feel it. And of course, on your home turf, so to speak, for Tanner Putt, who knows what can happen.
And when you're in a breakaway, the thing about breakaway climbs is they're not as fast. The guys are in the wind all day long. It's a steady grind. It's about how much total resistance you can take for the entire day, and you're not going to be fresh when you hit that final climb. You just got to get over it. So you don't have to be the best climber. You just got to be tougher than everybody else.
So Tanner Putt, one of the men out front right now as we continue with racing here in Stage 7. Everything points to Empire Pass coming up later. We'll take you all the way to the finish live. Be sure and stay tuned. It's the 10th Tour of Utah.
For 10 years, the Tour of Utah has brought together some of the world's best professional cyclists to compete in America's toughest stage race. For over 100 years, University of Utah Healthcare has been a world leader in research to advance health, education for the professionals of tomorrow, and compassionate quality healthcare for the people of the great American West. The official medical provider for the Tour of Utah.
Picture this, your next trip, Utah, 5 national parks, Zion, Bryce, Capitol Reef, Canyonlands, and Arches. This is Life Elevated, the Mighty 5. 5 iconic parks, one epic experience, only in Utah.
Tuff Shed has been crushing the elements since 1981. For buildings and value that can't be beat, step up to an American original. Step up to Tuff Shed. Tuff Shed has the quality and selection customers love. Choose from sheds, garages, weekenders, and studios. Whatever building best suits your needs, see them all at toughshed.com. Shop our factory direct locations in Ogden, Salt Lake City, and Springville. For the store nearest you, call 1-800-BUY-TOUGH and check us out at toughshed.com.
I'm going to take you to the last month before I got sober. Lonely, depressed.
She didn't have to ask for help. Either we let her go and we knew she could die, or we had to put her into a program.
It's okay to talk about this. It's okay to talk about what's going on inside your home.
I think about other people that don't see a light at the end of that tunnel, and I want them to know that there is a light.
Share your story with a partnership at drugfree.org.
No better way to put you right in the middle of the racing than the Eye on Camera right there on the course. And yesterday, all kinds of different terrain that they saw. And of course, that pack went past about 3 of Utah's reservoirs just outside the Wasatch Front. Ion Cameras is the official point-of-view camera of the Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah. Ion Cameras, where you can shoot in high definition and share in real time. And that's your eye on the course from yesterday. Back to racing here in Stage 7 of the 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah. Stage presented by Valcom Barracuda, getting IT right. That group of 2, or that twosome that tried to get off the front, reeled back in again, and it is now 7 leaders again. 2 minutes, 25 seconds ahead of the peloton, and you're looking at the names of those gentlemen out on the front right now. Now, the profile, we're going to look again at what they're going to see from an elevation standpoint, and you can see that they have just gone over the top at Wolf Creek Ranches here, and they are starting a descent. And then, of course, they will have a little bit of a respite before they get a chance to start the uphill battle to the finish.
And it's been a very interesting day in terms of tactics, but let's look at a little bit at the weather. 79 degrees right now. The sun is actually very intense, as I spent a lot of time out right at the start of the race talking with riders at sign-in, and you could immediately feel it wicking the water out of you with the altitude. So that will play a role today. Even though it's 79, it could easily be 99 this time of year.
Here's the peloton. You saw at the bottom perhaps the notation on the weather, a 40% chance of showers, which really means that of the total coverage area, 40% of it will get some rain. It's just a matter of if you're in that 40%, and this forecast is for a pretty wide geographic area out in the west. They are big areas they forecast for. So it's not, the odds are not that huge that we're going to get it right over Park City, but they're covering some distance today, and they may indeed see a little bit more moisture. We heard from Chris Horner about how that affected him yesterday.
And if memory serves, did you used to be a weatherman?
I was everything at some point in time. I just can't keep a job. But that's what that means, that 40% chance,
and
as we look at the peloton.
Nobody ever knows what 40% means.
Well, there's your education for the day. When you see that in your local area, know that at some point in that area, 40% will get some rain.
All right, let's get back to tactics. Notice the back man in the black and green for Belkin. That's Martin Chilingi. He is not working. When we've seen the front of the peloton, we've seen Belkin on the front. They are not happy with this breakaway being off the front. So he's sitting on, he's not contributing to the efforts of the break, and they've got a couple of guys on the front of the peloton contributing to the chase.
You know, this is interesting because we saw in the recap package from yesterday, Cadel Evans turned to, I believe it was the Jelly Belly rider.
It was Ricardo Zoidl, the Austrian national champion there for Trek.
And he turned to him, and with the little wag of the finger like Dikembe Mutombo in basketball, said, no, no, no. You don't get to ride that second wheel all the way. He said, come on up and keep working. And it'll be interesting to see if anybody in that front 7 is going to do the same thing. Watch this, a little drama. Look, he says, come on up. No, no, no. You don't sit back there. Come on up. And then you saw the little, okay, I guess if I have to, I have to. And so just a little bit inside the race drama.
Well, and I'll tell you, peer pressure is pretty big. And when it's Cadel Evans looking at you, it's pretty hard to say, you know what, pal, sorry, I'm not riding through. He can intimidate you.
The Austrian champion or no, that's a former Tour de France winner who said, come take your turn.
A little bigger prize there, and also having won the World Championship in 2009, 2 years before he won the Tour de France. So we do have 6 guys on the front, but 5 guys riding, and look at the peloton. Pretty single file. Once again, been a pretty hard day. Not as full gas as yesterday, because Cadel Evans was in the break yesterday, and so Garmin had to ride incredibly hard all day.
2:10 is the margin. We'll see what it does as we continue our coverage of this final stage of the 2014 Tour of Utah, the 10th edition.
To say that we are born in the mountains is to say that we are sturdy. We are a gaggle of rebellious hearts and well-worn pants. We are a certain kind of relaxed fit, full of fearless tries, with a love of the wild and a spine-filled need to jump. These mountains have taught us to grow up fearless and rebellious, and to question everything. It's a short life. Wear it well. Cool clothing. Born in the mountains.
For Team Novo Nordisk, racing with diabetes is just another challenge to meet. The team likes their chances this season, especially while riding their carbon fiber Orbea Orca road bikes and Ordu time trial bikes. Orbea proudly supports Team Novo Nordisk in its mission to inspire, educate, and empower people affected by diabetes. Tell us what you're riding to overcome, and register to win a free Orbea bike at Orbea.com.
Ours is a world of passengers. The red eyes.
I'm really tired.
The transfers.
Well, that's kid number 3.
The co-pilots. All sitting, trusting, waiting for a safe arrival. Introducing the all-new Subaru Legacy, designed to help the driver and you care for the passenger and them. The Subaru Legacy. It's not just a sedan, it's a Subaru.
Welcome back, everybody. A look at the 7 leader jerseys. The Larry H. Miller dealership overall leader continues to be Tom Danielson. Sports Commission best sprinter is Coach Jan, Joey Roscoff. Office of Tourism, KOM, Lucas User. The Vivint most aggressive, Chevrier. Subaru best young rider, Tyler Wren. America First Credit Union fan favorite. And America First is the proud sponsor of that fan favorite jersey. You can go to America First Facebook page and vote for your favorite rider. Lamprey Marina. Emerita was the Washakie Renewable Energy best team as well. So look at those leaders' jerseys. It's very coveted. I mean, if you can't win the yellow, you got to like to come out at the end of the tour with one of those leader jerseys. And we look at the peloton and see how it's stretched out as it continues to wind its way.
That's a beautiful shot, but let me tell you, if you're back here where the motorcycle is, you are not liking what you're seeing up the road. Single file and gaps due to a little bit of wind, a little bit of altitude, and some up and down terrain in these corners. And I don't think the peloton is going to split, but those guys that are behind in the peloton right now, they get a little bit nervy when they see it like that.
Well, this is a stage that certainly separates the group, doesn't it? I mean, we look at what happened a year ago with guys that either abandoned the race or did not make the time constraints, which you've got to finish within a certain time of the leader, otherwise you're going to be dropped. And last year, it affected, between them, 10 different riders between those two.
10 were time cut, 6 quit during the day, and the time limit you have to finish in today, you have to be within 15% of the winner's time, so you can be 15% slower than the winner.
There's a look at our yellow jersey wearer, Tom Danielson, who visited with Craig Hummer before the start of Stage 7.
Tom, 1 day left. It seems pretty obvious what needs to be done, but what have you and the team talked about?
Just sticking to the plan like we've done this whole race so far, you know. Not really paying attention to what other guys are doing, just do our thing. We know what we have to do. We know our objectives today, and just make it clear and just execute no matter what.
Is it going to be similar to yesterday in terms of where you use certain guys on your team? Do you think you'll be by yourself on Empire, or who would you like to have with you?
Yeah, I plan on being by myself on Empire. So I mean, being with a teammate doesn't help at all. So yeah, we can use the whole team all day, no problem. Just arrive at Empire with me and let it rip.
I said to you yesterday, you're one of the calmer riders I know, and with this yellow jersey on your back and only one stage to go, do you get nervous about that, or is it easy to just focus on the job?
Yeah, of course you can get nervous about it. I just try to focus on the job and the tasks that I have to do. And if you just focus on the things you can control, it's a lot easier, and that's all I have to do. And whether I win or not today, that's out of my control. So what I can control is just doing the best I can with the team, and then doing what I can do at the end, and that's all I can do. So no sense worrying about it.
You've told me a couple times how much or how good you are when you're enjoying it. Are you going to be able to enjoy today's stage, or only at the finish?
I think if I'm doing it right, I should be able to enjoy it. So I plan on enjoying it, but like I said, there's always B factors and things you can't control. And like we saw yesterday, there was all kinds of those riddled throughout the stage. So we'll just do our best and see what happens in the end.
Well, he sounds like a man, Todd, who knows what he has to do. It's not the first time he's been in this position. And I thought it was interesting. He plans on being all by himself at Empire, not worried about a teammate. Said real frankly, doesn't do me any good to have a teammate. It's I've got to get it done at the end.
And I'll tell you, the big takeaway there for me is he doesn't even think he's going to have a teammate, and he says he doesn't need one. You can get me that final climb. I'll take it from there, fellas. Thank you very much. That is the confidence that he needs to ride well, and that's why he has been so potent over these first 6 days. He came into the race with the winning attitude. He's gone through both of the summit finishes with great rides, and basically it's up to him to hold it together at the end, and he knows he can.
Tour continues to roll on here in the final stage. Can Tom Danielson hang on to that yellow jersey and win his second consecutive Tour of Utah title? They finish up right here in Park City, and we'll bring you all the way home.
A Snowbird season pass has never been a better value. Snowbird season passes are on sale now. Go to snowbird.com for details.
At LHMauto.com, find thousands of vehicles all under one roof. Yours. Just click it, get it, drive it for the vehicle that's just right for you. Now save $2, $4, up to $8,000 on a massive selection of new cars, trucks, SUVs, and minivans, all from a dealer you trust. The best vehicles, the best deals, the best location, at your fingertips. Just click it, get it, drive it at LHMauto.com. Driven by you.
Before ITT Tech, I was bartending, and sometimes I had to work 2 different jobs. I work for Play Network. I'm a network support engineer. I definitely would have gone to ITT Tech much earlier than I did. I don't know what I was waiting for.
Scholarships and financial aid are available for students who qualify. To find out more, call 1-800-ITT-TECH or visit us on the web. ITT Technical Institute. Education for the future.
Do you suffer from constipation, and are you taking a prescription opioid pain medication like OxyContin, Percocet, or Lortab? If so, call Lifetree Clinical Research. You may qualify to participate in a research study and be compensated up to $1,125 for time and travel. Overnight stays required. You must be at least 18 to take part in the study. Call Lifetree Clinical Research at 801-269-8200. That's 801-269-8200, or visit lifetreeresearch.com.
Time now to take a look at the state of sport presented by the Utah Sports Commission. In Park City, Utah, the miners were after gold in the mountains. A century or so later, the gold strike arrived with the snow. Deer Valley, Park City, Canyon, Soldier Hollow, world-class sites for the best winter competition you can find.
The Luge World Cup rolls on from Park City, Utah.
And you know there's a museum up here. The exhibits remind visitors they measure snowfall totals in feet, not inches. No wonder it's called the greatest snow on Earth. Olympic game venues, World Cup, and World Championship ski events. And look around, breathtaking beauty in every direction. No wonder the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Association calls this place home. Now that's gold. Utah, the state of sport. Visit the UtahSportsCommission.com, a proud partner of Tour of Utah 2014.
Downtown Park City today, a lot more hospitable in terms of the climate than what we just saw for these riders today. It is warm, as you've already pointed out, and Main Street, Park City, going to be jammed. Right now, people enjoying the Lifestyle Expo that is just up Main Street here. And are they enjoying it out on the road, this lead group? Well, right now, they've got enough that in front of them that they can kind of get an open view and get a good look. The question is, will they be hampered by the peloton a little bit later? Chances are they'll be reeled in at some point in time. And then, of course, that climb up Empire to wind things up that Tom Danielson expects that he'll be doing by himself. Not necessarily by himself in regard to other riders, but maybe without teammates.
his teammates really are going to have all their work here to get him to the base of Empire Pass. And then from there, he really is going to be left to take it mostly on his own. He's obviously going to hope that Phil Guyman can get him partway up that climb. Alex Howes, they've been the last guys in the mountains for him. But he knows at some point he is going to have to be on his own.
Well, this is going to be the swan song for some of these riders in the Tour of Utah. They've already announced this will be their final circuit. Alex Candelario, a guy who really helped his team early in this one in the stage at Miller Motorsports Park by kind of handing off to Young, who won the stage. Jeff Lauder, the Utahn, who said, this is it, this is my final go-round. And then Jens Vogt, the man who is the Tour Time Tour de France stage winner, and 17 Tours de France started and 17 finished, who was on the early break today. He's calling it quits as well after this year.
And Jens, I did get a chance to speak with Jens this morning, and I said, what can we expect from you? And he said, well, it's the last day of the race. I don't have to hold anything back. And he was attacking like a madman at the beginning of the stage, but everybody always looks at Jens because they know he's going to attack. And when you're marked, it's hard to get away. And look at the back of this field. This thing is on fire right now, totally single file.
Well, Jens, before the start of this tour, was asked way back in Cedar City a week ago, what's next for you?
If I look into my future, I for sure see less suffering. I'm not going to be riding in the rain anymore, and I'm not going to have oatmeal anymore for brekkie or anything healthy. And if I have a barbecue, I might have a beer with my barbecue and not an orange juice or apple juice like now. But seriously, talking about jobs, I think the first 1 year, maybe even the first 2 years, I might want to do a lot of different jobs at the same time, like smaller jobs, so to find out what do I like, what I'm good at, and what would I like to do for another 10 years.
Well, if someone's smart, they'll put a headset on him and use him on a broadcast, because he is one of the most entertaining characters you will ever meet, and certainly his credentials are impeccable.
Yeah, and he's such a fun guy to be around. He's got a good sense of humor, but he's an incredibly driven individual. And part of those questions I was asking him, I said, will you do TV? And that's when he kind of said, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to try a bunch of things, but I hope to be back in Utah next year in some capacity.
Well, it would be fun to see him. You saw the relationship between the leader group and the peloton. It is a minute and a half or so, not too dramatic right now, and racing will continue as they approach Park City and the end of this Tour of Utah. There's a look at the distance again that they have to traverse, the peloton, to catch up to that lead group. It's been out there for a while now. They don't look like they're really working all that much for each other. It's kind of I wouldn't say lackadaisical, because that's just not the factor, but the peloton itself and that front group, Todd, look like right now they're just kind of out there and maybe just consuming some miles.
And I think that one thing that's always hard to tell on television is how windy it is and how tough that is. But I do see all these guys rotating, so I think that they're going harder than it looks.
All right, and on that note, we will take the break as they continue to race Stage 7.
From construction to refinancing or your first home.
This is perfect.
A mortgage from Zions Bank can help you get that perfect home for your family. Visit a Zions Bank Financial Center to get pre-approved for the home of your dreams today.
The scientists at Shell have created Shell V-Power Premium Gasoline, which actively cleans for better performance, helping make the roads more exciting to drive. Choose Use Shell V-Power Premium Gasoline. Performance that excites. And add more excitement by instantly saving at least 3 cents per gallon with the FRN program.
For 10 years, the Tour of Utah has brought together some of the world's best professional cyclists to compete in America's toughest stage race. For over 100 years, University of Utah Healthcare has been a world leader in research to advance health, education for the professionals of tomorrow, and compassionate quality healthcare for the people of the great American West. The official medical provider for the Tour of Utah.
Lead group of 7 and the peloton making their way towards Heber City and Midway, Utah. University of Utah Healthcare is the official medical provider of the 2014 Tour of Utah. Here now, the University of Utah Healthcare Minute.
Hi, I'm Dr. Travis Mack with the University of Utah Healthcare, the official medical provider of the Tour of Utah. Part of our job is to ensure that you have a smooth ride before, during, and after the big race. One of the most important things that you can do is to ensure your bike is properly fitted to your body. This can prevent many of the injuries that we see. Recovery is also a critical part of cycling. Be sure to refuel right away. Some good post-ride fuel includes a high-protein meal and a snack like a smoothie. Next, hydrate. You should drink to satisfy your thirst and keep drinking until you've replaced all of the body weight that you've lost. An active recovery is key. The day after a hard ride, do something active, such as light exercise. This will help your muscles recover. Lastly, go out and get a massage. It'll help delay those stiff and sore muscles the next day. I'm Dr. Travis Mack with your University of Utah Healthcare Minute.
University of Utah Healthcare with a hospital and 10 community clinics. There's one close to you, your choice, and our experts. As that lead group continues to move on, and they will be approaching in not too long the backside of Empire Pass and that climb up right past the state park, some of the most scenic golf courses in the state of Utah. They will pass before they begin their ascent up Empire. We'll return. 2014 Tour of Utah rolls on right after this.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Heroes of all shapes and sizes will use their pedal power to make wishes come true. And in the process, you could win a Scott Carbon road bike and other great prizes. Booyah! It's the 4th annual Million Miles at Miller Charity Bike Ride presented by Mountain America Credit Union, benefiting Make-A-Wish Utah and Larry H. Miller Charities. Saturday, September 13th at the Megaplex Theaters in the District in South Jordan. Claim your hero status at millionmilesatmiller.com.
Don't miss country music superstar Phil Vassar in concert Monday, August 18th at the Sierra Shell Outdoor Theater in Orem. Billboard Country Songwriter of the Year, Phil Vassar in concert under the stars at the Sierra Shell Outdoor Theater in Orem, Monday, August 18th. For tickets, call 801-225-ARTS or online at Sierra.org. Sponsored by Orem City Care Program, the Daily Herald, Trio, Xfinity, Timpanogos Regional Hospital, Utah County, JTV, and 101.5 The Eagle.
My son Aiden has asthma. Secondhand smoke has triggered his asthma so bad to the point where he had to end up in the emergency room. And he has spent multiple nights in intensive care. Now he's on a whole bunch of medications. My tip to you is, don't be shy to tell people not to smoke around your kids.
Find your way to quit. Visit waytoquit.org.
One in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. If you're over 40, do whatever it takes to remind yourself to get your yearly mammogram. It could save your life. A message from Intermountain Live Well, Intermountain Healthcare's Healthy Living Initiative.
Explorers wanted. People who aren't content seeing the tourist version of a destination. Those who wonder what lies beyond the souvenir snow globe. It's why Alaska Airlines is inviting you to explore more with 7 new destinations non-stop out of Salt Lake. Like LA, San Francisco, San Jose, Las Vegas, San Diego, Portland, and Boise. And thanks to Alaska's everyday low fares, you can explore it all for less. For a limited time, get $50 off your next trip when you join the Alaska Airlines Mileage Plan.
Hey, I'm going up, straight up to the top, walking out with my head up high. Hey.
Back racing here on Stage 7 of the 2014 Tour of Utah. Stage 7 presented by Valcom Barracuda, getting IT right. Approaching the Midway Sprint in just a few moments. They'll be in the area of Midway, and a beautiful little area. Was really a fort midway between the upper and lower settlements clear back in 1866, and it's known as Little Switzerland because a lot of Swiss moved there and thought it reminded them a lot of home, with the mountains ringing that beautiful Verdon Valley there in Midway.
And it probably would remind you a lot of home because you're right outside Empire Pass. And that's a savage finish to this race in the 7th day. Tom Danielson, number 1, the yellow leader's jersey. He's got Javier Acevedo, the Colombian, who was critical to help him yesterday as Javier was in that early break. He dropped back over Guardsman Pass and then helped the team chase and gave Tom a little bit of extra rest late in the race.
Well, Tom Danielson traveling well right now. He's got to be pretty pleased with what's going on. You heard his game plan earlier today. Yeah, you want to see what it looks like, by the way, from one of our moto cams. Look at that, standing up behind the rider. Imagine doing that for about 4 or 5 hours, because those guys are on the road from the start of the race all the way through the finish, and that's the picture you get. And of course, the big antenna on there beaming it up to the sky and then down. It is a highly technical operation to broadcast an international cycling competition, especially when you're dealing with the kinds of terrain that we have here in the Tour of Utah.
You got to have that line of sight to get from the aircraft over to the finish line, and they have to put repeaters on the mountains that will get in the way so that they can move that signal around. It's a big production.
Yeah, credit to the guys, by the way, in the helicopter for getting us such great pictures, and the moto guys as well. They really do yeoman duty. They're out there 7 consecutive days. The weather affects them just like it affects everybody else.
You want to hear a crazy statistic? I was talking with the guys that pull cable every day. They said they have 25,000 pounds of cable pulled today for this broadcast.
And you know who the guys are that do it? They're the guys with the big muscles.
That's it.
It's not a job for the riders. It's not a job for the riders, right?
You got that right.
But guess what? The cable guys, they don't want to ride the bikes either. So I guess to each his own. Here you see the Provo River to the right hand, the top of your picture. Again, blue ribbon fishery, and that's the leading group, the lead 7, as they come into that Midway Sprint area. And those leaders have been out there a while right now.
There's a good chance that none of these guys are going to care a whole bunch about this intermediate sprint because, quite frankly, they're not up in the running for the sprint leaders competition presented by Utah Sports Commission. Now, we did see earlier in the day Yuri Kotzian, the Smart Stop rider who's leading that competition when the peloton was still together. He took that sprint in Camas and he padded his lead by 5 points.
He's not in this group, and it looks like he's got a stranglehold on it there with that lead, 46 points, and then Kiel Reinen behind him, and Michael Scher with 21 points, the top 3 in your sprints. Yeah, maybe it's going to be contested. You never know, although these guys realize they still have a long way to go. If somebody goes out, they may just let him.
I think that's exactly what they'll do, unless somebody just wants to sprint for practice. Now let's talk a little bit about some of these men in the group. The red and white, Jai Crawford, the rider from Australia, just getting a little push there from the American Matt Cook. Jai Crawford won the stage up to Snowbird in 2010. So he missed the move yesterday, but he got in the move today, and he would dearly like to get a stage win here. We talked with him before the opening day of the race, and he was pretty motivated. He said this race is always incredibly difficult, but they came into town early. They spent time at altitude to really prepare for the high mountains in Utah.
Coming up the main street now of Midway. And they'll be approaching it here. One of the best hamburgers you're ever going to find, by the way, on the left here as you come through town. So if you're ever in Midway, you need a good hamburger, right there.
I always know who to call when I'm looking for a good meal when I'm in Utah, because you seem to know every little restaurant and fishing hole in the state.
I know how much you like to eat anyway.
You got that right.
Well, it looks like no contest there on the sprint.
That's just Tanner Putt rolling through on the front, the Park City man. Salerno out of the saddle there for Cannondale. There's Jai, great climber, and not super high in the overall, but that win he got in 2010 in Snowbird, it came from a breakaway. He did not come from the peloton on the final climb. It was a breakaway that stayed away, and he was the man to get the win. Right on his wheel, the American Matt Cook. Cookie, as he's known, a talented climber in his own right for Jameis Hoggets-Berman.
So Jai Crawford just there sitting in the red tray pack. Let's go back to 2010. Jai Crawford started churning on that big uphill climb to Snowbird. Only one person could keep up with him. That was the yellow jersey holder at that time, Levi Leipheimer. Levi would catch him late in the race, right there, but Crawford would hang tough in this one, and he outlasts Levi for stage 5 in the win. Jai would also claim the King of the Mountains jersey for that 2010 Tour of Utah as well. There he is. Go back 4 years. He looks about the same, by the way.
That was
not
aged. Yeah, he really does look very similar. It was a great day in his career. The year before, in 2009, he was second overall in the Tour de Langkawi from an incredibly good climber named Jose Serpa, who won that overall.
So they're making their way up to that road, which will put them right at the mouth, at the foot of that climb for Empire Pass. And there's a look at the rest of the peloton as they come through midway. And they make that hard right turn as well. And they'll wind across the foothills here for a few miles before they get to the mouth of the canyon. And then the real work begins. The grind begins, and we'll find out who's going to claim this stage. Can that breakaway continue to hold off the peloton? And how tough will Tommy Danielson be about winning the stage? Or will he be more content to simply sit back and grant himself another yellow? We'll find out as our racing continues.
That gray din we call the inversion is nothing new to the Wasatch Front, but it doesn't have to be. Washakie Renewable Energy, a proud partner of the Tour of Utah, is leading the Intermountain West to a future where our air is clear, clean, and healthy. WRE produces 20 million gallons of biodiesel annually from sustainable products, including used cooking oil, which cuts air pollutants by nearly 200,000 tons. To turn your used cooking oil into a greener tomorrow, go to grease2green.com or look for WRE at the Tour of Utah.
America First Credit Union started out as a handful of people who wanted to help one another obtain the American dream. Through the years, we've worked together, celebrated together, and grown together. Today, we are a community of over 630,000 friends and neighbors sharing our resources to strengthen and enrich each other's lives. America First Credit Union. Come join us in celebrating 75 years together.
Tough Shed has been crushing the elements since 1981. For buildings and value that can't be beat, step up to an American original. Step up to Tough Shed. Tough Shed has the quality and selection customers love. Choose from sheds, garages, weekenders, and studios. Whatever building best suits your needs, see them all at toughshed.com. Shop our factory direct locations in Ogden, Salt Lake City, and Springville. For the store nearest you, call 1-800-BUY-TOUGH and check us out at toughshed.com.
The 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah is brought to you by Subaru, confidence in motion; Washakie Renewable Energy, securing a greener tomorrow; and by LHMauto.com. Click it, get it, drive it. Larry H. Miller Dealerships, driven by you. And heading up the mountains here in Stage 7 as you get a long look ahead. Stage 7 was 78 miles when we started, and they're on their way towards a Park City finish here on the 7th stage. A lot of racing still to go, and you know how much we've talked about climbing here. Let me just give you a perspective, because this will be the final climb that they will make over Empire Pass. Now, Kings Peak at 13.5 and change is the highest in Utah. Highest in the United States, Mount McKinley. Mount Everest, of course, the highest mountain in the world, generally accepted. When they have finished this week, Todd, they will climb the equivalent of almost 2 Mount Everests. That's some kind of climb.
That's why so many of the guys say this is the hardest week-long race they have ever done in their lives. They still come back to it, but it is a brutal week in the saddle.
Well, it's a good thing they're paying them. Because I think at this point in a 7-stage race, if you're not on the front, there'd be a lot of attrition at this point in time.
Certainly. I mean, this is an absolutely brutal week for the guys, and they know that the last day is the second hardest climb of the entire race. There's Chris Horner out of the saddle, and Chris Horner went on after being second in this race last year and winning to Snowbird, to winning the Vuelta a España, which started. This race ends on Sunday. The Vuelta starts. It started only a couple of weeks later, and he went on and won that. 21 days of racing.
He's planning on going back to try and defend his title as well, and hoping when he goes home to San Diego, as you heard him at the start of today's stage, he hopes that he can go back and have the doctor clear up that bronchitis that has been bothering him since really prior to the Tour de France, but it certainly bothered him during the Tour.
And he's been through a couple of courses of antibiotics. Now, notice that things are about to start happening here. The climb, that's the bottom of the climb right there off in the distance, and I can tell because when I rode it the other day, it just about killed me. And you could see in the peloton, there's a lot of battling now for position back there. They got to get their climbers to the front. You do not want to start buried 20, 30, 40 guys back, because then you got to get around guys as they're blowing up on the climb. And it starts hard.
Well, they pass a couple of the golf courses I mentioned. That is a state park that you see on the left there. That golf course goes all the way up the mountain. One of the great courses to play in the fall. Right now, a little bit warm, but that's why you take a cart.
For sure. 55 seconds now for the breakaway. Unfortunately for the guys that went off the front today, great effort. I do not think they're going to enjoy the success that Cadel Evans did yesterday.
Well, we'll find out soon, because they're into the mouth of that canyon now and start that climb. By the way, the asphalt here is not the best. I drove that a couple of months ago. It is not the smoothest of ascents as well, and you have to be aware of that. And they've got the folks out. Anybody who's chicken isn't going to be in the peloton today. They'd be on the side of the road. I think that's where I would be. Give me the suit and let me wave to you going by.
So 50 seconds they're getting there from Big Dave Wyckoff, the pilot of that motorcycle, and his helper, going back with a stopwatch to the peloton, then bringing it back up to the break and keeping everybody informed of those time gaps.
And the golfers, of course, saying, hey, get these guys out of the way so we can make our putt.
There you go. We actually like to, when we train, you like to ride by and just ask them how they're hitting them.
Yeah, and they love to answer you right in the middle of the backswing. The peloton now tries to close in on the 7 up front as they start the ascent up Empire Pass to the ultimate finish of the Tour of Utah here, Main Street, Park City. Sun is out in Park City, although the clouds are gathering a little. You can see by the shadows they still have sun over the other side of that mountain range. The question is, what will they anticipate on top? And we'll find out more as our Stage 7 race concludes the Tour of Utah. More coverage coming up.
Living in Salt Lake is ideal. The temperate valley climate, and then in the mountains, crazy winter wonderland.
You could be up to the mountains from down here in 20 minutes.
First thing you see when you look out the window is mountains.
People have the same agenda to be here because they love the outdoors. A lot of places don't get the deep, dry snow that we get. Our license plate says it straight up, the greatest snow on earth.
Mr. Daniels. Mr. Daniels. Look at this.
What's this?
Clicks are off the charts.
Yeah. Yoshi, we're back.
Yes, sir. Tracking. More shifting, more shifting.
You want us there when you're feeling good and when you need support. You want us at your side to help you grow big and to stay well. You want to count on us all along your journey with resources that act like an extra set of hands. To help you reach your goals, a little help goes a long way. We're stepping up for better healthcare.
It began with my big toe.
That was my first amputation that I had.
Berger's disease, it's a vascular disease brought on by smoking.
My fingers started to go piece by piece.
First it was my left leg. After my left leg, it was my right leg. And so now I'm a double amputee, all from smoking.
My tip to everyone is, don't believe that this can't happen to you, because it can.
Find your way to quit. Visit waytoquit.org.
Well, Tom Danielson's got the dream, and right now it looks like he's getting it right. Stage 7 of the 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah, presented by Valcom Barracuda, getting IT right. Let's take a look at where they are now in Stage 7. Of course, we know where they'll wind up. They'll finish up in Main Street, Park City. They are coming up the climb. They've started the ascent of Empire Pass. It's now 4 riders in the lead and 3 riders in the chase. The peloton, though, just 20 seconds behind as we welcome you in to our Subaru studio. Subaru, confidence in motion. Behind us, Main Street of Park City. The crowds, well, they were gathering early this morning before the start of this race at a little afternoon, and it will be overflowing when they come down.
And when they come down, we're going to know if Tom Danielson has managed to hold on to that jersey. I think the day has been really good for him. And here we are as things have blown apart in that breakaway group. And it looks to me like we have one man on his own, Jacob Rathie of the United States, down in the overall classification, but maybe that means he saved some of his legs yesterday. He doesn't look like he is flying up this climb, but he's certainly giving it a go for Jelly Belly.
Hey, the motorcycles don't look like they're flying up this climb, so I don't think that they're going to. Tell me a little about this guy then. I mean, is he the kind of rider that could make it over the top?
Well, with this amount of a lead and what we've seen Tom Danielson and some of the other favorites doing, I would say no way. It's Danielson on the front, it's Horner right behind him, but good for him for giving it a shot. He was the best young rider at the Great Parks Casino race in Philly earlier this year. That's got a super steep wall, but nothing long like this.
Yeah, the 7.7 miles of Empire Pass, 22% the max gradient on this one. Unbelievable. Elevation, too, the 8850, that's one of the real keys. It picks up over 3,000 feet and 5.2 when they get to the summit, 5.2 to the finish, but mostly downhill. And I say mostly because you've got that little swale where you hit Guardsman Pass and then it comes to the very top and then you go down the switchbacks. And that's not an easy descent. We've said it before. Made easier, of course, with dry roads, but anything can happen between now and the time that they finish it.
And you talked about the road condition, the surface. When it's bumpy, it's almost like one gear slower on the bike. Rathie here is really more of a classics guy. He was up there on the podium of the Paris-Roubaix under 23 edition for riders under 23 years of age, and that was back in 2011. So he's a little bit older now, he's matured, but you can see him. He's not the build of a climber. He's not a little skinny guy, and that's what you need on a climb this steep and this severe. You got to be very thin to get up a climb like this quickly. And we've got an attack in the peloton there, and that is a big attack, and Danielson is responding.
And here they come. You see them closing on Rathie now. Danielson there in the yellow on the right-hand side.
And that's Diniz. That's Alex Diniz from Brazil, also known as Half Pint, and he went on the attack over the North Ogden Divide as well. They ended up catching him before Powder Mountain, but Diniz has come back again. I actually talked with him, some of his team's members, his staff this morning, fueling up the car, and I said, are we going to see him go for it today? And he said, yes, Diniz is going to attack.
That's the Funvik team, but there you see yellow behind him. And you also see pink behind him, the Lampre Merida team. Of course, Chris Horner's team. You see several reflected there in that pink kit. Now Diniz takes a little look over his shoulder again.
And look at how small that peloton is. Only maybe 20, 25 riders at the most. So it is whittled down significantly already.
And we're looking at the end of it right there. That's the end of the group, as you said. Not a very big one. And Deniz made that attack, and now, is this Danielson? Yeah, Danielson stands up, maybe showing some signs to come after him, although right now you got to be pretty comfortable. Tom Danielson just needs to finish more than 57, or less than 57 seconds behind the number 2 guy, Chris Horner.
Yeah, and really, I mean, Tom, you look at him, confidence, and just continues to ride his own race here. I asked him before the start at sign-in what we would see from him today, and he said, well, we're just going to follow our plan. I said, what's the plan? And he goes, well, I can't really tell you. And I said, well, isn't it just like your plan was yesterday? Use your strong men, Mannion, King, and Decker in the flats, and then leave the other guys to help you in the hills? And he said, yeah, and then I'll take it from there. And so here he is, no teammates left. He's not concerned. He is protecting from the front, riding a hard enough tempo that nobody can attack him right now. But I'll tell you, he's smart, and he knows he needs to keep something in reserve so that if he does get attacked, he can respond. He does not want to go so deep that he can't respond to an attack.
And these guys will continue to work, but it's similar, isn't it, to what we saw at Powder Mountain, and that is when you get to a certain steepness, there's no advantage of being on the second wheel. You just, there's another attack right now.
Winner Anacona, Chris Horner's teammate, and that's, now notice Tom Danielson, he will respond to that one because that is a danger man. Anacona comes into the day in 4th place overall. We've seen him attacking on all of the summit finishes so far, and he gets followed, and Horner cannot follow.
And is that a Belkin rider behind him, or
that's one of the Cannondale men, and
riders.
I have not actually seen who it is yet.
There's a look on the bottom of your GC winner, Anacona, at 152 behind Tom Danielson coming in today. Right now he's on the front, Danielson right on his wheel though.
Danielson riding a perfect race tactically by putting so many guys in a very painful place that not many guys had anything left to attack. Anacona did. He jumps on the wheel. There's Horner, number 11, out of the saddle for Lampre. And he looks at his teammate going up the road, and he has to say, well, if I don't have the legs, at least my teammate's there.
And I think that's probably right where he is based on what we got from the interview this morning and now what we're seeing right now. He kind of pushed Anacona and said, winner is the guy that we're going to let go after him because we think he can ride for the GC and he's got a chance at it. Danielson, however, I think has an answer right there and says, you're either coming with me or I'm just going to take the yellow and go home.
And look at if you look at the time gaps coming in, Anacona is 1 minute and 52 seconds behind Danielson in the general classification. So Danielson really, all he needs to do is not have a mechanical, not have a biomechanical, and not crash on the way down. If he rides like this to the finish, he looks very good. Now look in the back in the peloton there, right up on the front. That's Carter Jones, the young man for Optum on the front, and he is trying to close this down. Carter Jones has had a very solid race. He's moved up to 7th place overall in yesterday's stage, and there he is, just riding his own pace. And he's got Wilco Kelderman on his wheel, 7th at this year's Giro d'Italia. Chris Horner, the winner of last year's Vuelta. This is some good company. It's George Bennett in the Cannondale colors. Of course it is. Up here with Danielson. Bennett, the New Zealand rider, a great climber, loves this race. We haven't seen a lot of him so far in the summit finishes, but it's good to see George in this breakaway group with Danielson.
And it is a breakaway group of 3 now, with Danielson in the yellow. Anacona, of course, in the pink. And up they come, up Empire Pass. 10 seconds is the margin right now. And a quick look over the shoulder by Tom Danielson.
So Anacona, amazingly, over this holiday, Christmas Eve, well, actually, it was, I'm sorry, 2 years ago, 2012, he was injured in a crash with a dog, fractured his ankle. That kind of messed up his season starting off 2013. But he eventually got things going again. This year, he's actually looking better than I've ever seen him. We've seen him every time there's a summit finish going on the attack. And this time, only Tom Danielson and George Bennett could follow, and George Bennett, unfortunately, is cracking right as I speak.
A little over 11 miles to go. Still quite a ways, obviously, and most of it uphill before they take that tuck and head for home. A 2-rider leader group right now. Anacona in pink, Lampre Merida, and a yellow jersey. And now here you go, a little break the wind for you.
I'm not sure exactly. I just want to know who number 55 is. That's important to me.
Whoever it is changing jersey numbers when they see this, I guarantee you.
And you can see that Tom Danielson has to watch out for the fan there. And actually, the man with number 55 in the race was Martin Chilingi, who was in the breakaway.
Let's bring in Craig Hubbard for more on Tom Danielson and his mood today, because Craig had a chance to speak to him before the start. Craig, how was he feeling? What did you get as the impression from him and where he was?
Well, I like the fact that, of course, Gogo had a chance to talk to a lot of these guys this morning as well, but the 7th or actually 8th day I've been around Tommy D. Clearly his confidence has grown, but there still was a little bit, not hesitation, Gogo, but certainly some pensiveness about his final day. This is exactly what he told me off camera he really wanted to do, which was dictate the pace from the front and absolutely control as he's done. Look at this gap that he's now put into everybody else. This is because of the surge, and twice now he's gone in front of Anacona, and this is the way he wants to win. This is with panache. This is the way that you want to see a guy in the yellow jersey ride.
And you know, I think when I talked with him off camera, and he doesn't have the camera in his face, he didn't seem to have any hesitation. So I'm wondering if the camera in his face with the sponsors and all the pressure, maybe he is trying to manage his words a little bit more, because I didn't see any hesitation with him at sign-in. He said, look, cycling is a humbling sport, but if it goes the way it has in the last couple summit finishes, I got nothing to worry about.
Well, you're right. I'd absolutely agree with you. We've both spent a lot of time around Tom when it's not in a race situation, and clearly he is one of the most relaxed riders out there. He knows what his job is, and it's funny, I know we've shown the Joey Rosskopf interview already in terms of how he feels it's a job as well. And this is a young rider who clearly doesn't have the resume that a Tom Danielson does, but Danielson's a guy that he said he's going to have fun if he's out in front, so I think he's going to be smiling, at least internally.
All right, Craig, thanks. And who doesn't have fun when you're out front, right? That's the best way to do it. Stick around, more racing. It's far from over yet, but you do have two off the front. And can Tom Danielson not only reclaim the second yellow, but take the stage as well?
Looking fantastic is now more affordable than ever. The Fantastic Sam Style event is going on now, with kids' haircuts starting at just $10. Fantastic style, fantastic price. It's a beautiful thing.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Heroes of all shapes and sizes will use their pedal power to make wishes come true. And in the process, you could win a Scott Carbon road bike and other great prizes. Booyah! It's the 4th annual Million Miles at Miller Charity Bike Ride presented by Mountain America Credit Union, benefiting Make-A-Wish Utah and Larry H. Miller Charities. Saturday, September 13th at the Megaplex Theaters in the District in South Jordan. Claim your hero status at millionmilesatmiller.com.
The next best thing to being on your dream vacation is making the dream come true for others. Marriott Vacation Club, a global leader in the vacation ownership industry, has full-time openings for vacation planning counselors. Our planners provide exceptional customer service to our timeshare owners. No scripts, no talk time restrictions. We build relationships. Marriott Vacation Club offers great pay and benefits and excellent growth opportunities within a company of fun. Go to MarriottVacationClubJobs.com and search requisition number 6794, and let's talk about your future.
Tough Shed has been crushing the elements since 1981. For buildings and value that can't be beat, step up to an American original. Step up to Tough Shed. Tough Shed has the quality and selection customers love. Choose from sheds, garages, weekenders, and studios. Whatever building best suits your needs, see them all at toughshed.com. Shop our factory direct locations in Ogden, Salt Lake City, and Springville. For the store nearest you, call 1-800-BUY-TOUGH and check us out at toughshed.com.
With sleep, it isn't just the quantity that matters, it's the quality that matters as well. So that's why you've got to get into RC Willey and check out their amazing selection of quality mattresses.
If you can't sleep, your mattress may be to blame. Right now, you can save up to $500 on name brand mattresses, including Tempur-Pedic, Beauty Rest, Serta, and Heirloom. Twin sets start at $79 each piece, and queen sets are as low as $299.
RC Willey, your home, your way.
Looking fantastic is now more affordable than ever. The Fantastic Sam Style event is going on now, with kids' haircuts starting at just $10. Fantastic style, fantastic price. It's a beautiful thing.
Hey, 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 I'm going up, straight up to the top, walking out with my head up high. Hey.
Well, we told you not to go away because that is the lead twosome, but don't look now as Tommy D just did, because this man, Chris Horner, 40-plus years of age, the España champion from a year ago, took second to this event, and he is trying to bridge, and you see how far back he is. He has made up a huge amount of distance.
This is an awesome ride by Chris Horner in his early 40s, the oldest Grand Tour winner in history by several years, shattering the previous record last year when he won the Tour of Spain. And look at him coming across. Now, Tom Danielson is going to have a much more difficult time winning this stage to put a button on this overall win, which I still think he's going to get.
I asked you this off camera a couple of days ago regarding philosophy of riders. If you've got the yellow jersey, but you don't win this last stage, in this case with Tom Danielson, is there a feeling that maybe I backed into it, or do you really care? Now, he has, obviously, the stage win at Powder Mountain, and I'm not suggesting he would be backing into anything. You don't do that in this kind of a race. But from a personal standpoint, would he feel a little less fulfilled if he didn't get the stage win?
Well, there's no doubt the way he's been climbing, he wants the stage win. He wouldn't go so far as to tell me that this morning. He said, look, you know, I got to protect the yellow. That's the number one thing. But he wants to get the stage win. The thing that hurts him is that he is not a fantastic descender. He tends to be a little bit careful, especially when you got the yellow jersey on, because if you crash out, you lose everything. So if somebody is willing to take a lot of risk on the descent and they start attacking him, if he hasn't gotten rid of the two Lampre men, he could get it, you know, he could be in a position where he doesn't get to win this final stage. But, you know, yellow is the biggest thing. And then after that, you can fight for the second place, you know, in the GC or the stage win or those other prizes.
And how much does it help that two Lampre teammates there?
Well, first of all, they can attack and counterattack if they get to the point where they're over the steepest part of the climb. And so they have to actually get over the steep stuff first before they start attacking, and then they can have the tactical advantage of one guy attacks, the other guy sits on Tom Danielson's wheel in the draft, and if he chases them down, then you counter, and you keep doing that till you crack them. It's tough to do on a really difficult climb, but it can happen. And certainly, if anybody's going to do it at this point, these are the two guys.
And you have the mental side of things, obviously, too. You've got someone you know is in the same boat as you are, someone who has the same philosophy, and it's 2 against 1, literally.
It really is, and I think that the next man on the road is indeed Wilco Kelderman and George Bennett. So these two guys trying to come up, but I don't think, honestly, that anybody is going to catch the 3 leaders unless they start really playing games with each other, looking at each other, sitting up, and not pedaling and trying to decide who's going to do the work on the front. If they continue to ride hard and drive it, they will probably stay away. But boy, Kelderman's not far behind with Bennett, is he?
And would you expect that Anacona will spend the vast majority of the time on the front with Horner on the wheel and not put Chris up front?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, because Horner is the closest man in the general classification, so you want to save him and keep him as fresh as possible. But it is interesting, and now look at this. Kelderman is coming across. He is really ratcheted it up. I think I'm going to have to eat my words that I didn't think those 3 were going to get caught, because Kelderman looks like he's the man to do it.
Dutch rider for Belkin. He's dropped his teammate Stewart, so he's by himself right now trying to join that 3-person leader group and make it 4. About 15 seconds is the official gap, and you get a look, as you can see, Kelderman just coming into view around that turn.
15 kilometers to go. That's 9.3 miles. Kelderman in the back there, 4th at the Dauphiné just before the Tour de France, and he was the best young rider in that in the process. And let's not forget that he also was 7th in this year's Giro d'Italia. He's a man who came in early for the altitude, and now Horner has gone to the front. So everybody up here working pretty hard.
You saw that group, by the way, behind Bennett. It's not just Kelderman that's factoring into the equation here, because that next group may also be able to close.
Everybody trying to get a piece of the action here. And notice Chris Horner. There is nobody in the sport of professional cycling that stands as much as Chris does. And I asked him about this last year during the Vuelta, because he would stand for mile after mile, and this is that group behind Kelderman and chasing up on this climb. And Horner, he says he can't generate the power seated. The thing is, the reason why most guys don't stand this long is because you're activating so many more muscles, you're using more calories and you're burning more oxygen. And so most guys get more tired by standing for long periods, but he has somehow worked out this style where he stands on the pedals, and that's what he's most efficient at.
Told us his fitness was good. He thought his weight was good, around 135, 137. He was happy with that and felt very good about coming in, and this was the discussion before we got started with stage one in Cedar City way back last Sunday when we interviewed him. So he knew coming in that he was all right. His concern was the bronchitis, the problem with the lungs. He's battled it all week. Remember, Todd, he told us, listen, if I don't feel pretty good by the second day, I'll be driving my car home down to San Diego. Well, we found out after the first couple of stages, he wasn't driving home. You knew he felt pretty decent at that point in time, and he starts today 57 seconds behind the yellow jersey wearer.
Now, I talked with his team, Dr. Carlo, right after stage 3. Actually, you were there, and asked him, you know, look, how is Chris' health? And he said, well, he still has a little bit of something in the lungs, but he is getting better day after day. And so these are our guys in the front group. The only man we're missing is third place overall, and that's Ben Hermans. Danielson, the overall leader. Horner came into the day 57 seconds down, and his teammate came into the day 4th at 1:52. But Ben Hermans, and I did talk with Hermans at the sign-in, and I said, are you going to try and move up today? He said, no, I'm happy to stay where I am in third, but he's been dropped.
Three-man group still off the front here in stage 7 as they head for the summit and then back down into the Main Street finish in Park City, Utah. And then the 10th Tour of Utah will be in the books.
Picture this, your next trip, Utah, 5 national parks, Zion, Bryce, Capitol Reef, Canyonlands, and Arches. This is Life Elevated, the Mighty 5. 5 iconic parks, 1 epic experience, only in Utah.
Yo, bro, you on Woo Woo? You kidding me? Everybody's on Woo Woo.
Woo Woo.
Lock and load, people.
We're going all in on Woo Woo. Mark, comp us up a profile page.
Susie, write us some posts.
Don't you know the Wu-Tang Clan? Let's get them involved.
We need an ethnically ambiguous woo-woo mascot.
Dude, are you still on Woo Woo? Nah, man. My mom's on Woo Woo.
Ours is a world of passengers. The red eyes.
I'm really tired.
The transfers.
Well, that's kid number 3.
The co-pilots. All sitting, trusting, waiting for a safe arrival. Introducing the all-new Subaru Legacy, designed to help the driver and you care for the passenger and them. The Subaru Legacy. It's not just a sedan, it's a Subaru.
You go through the day-to-day repeating what you did yesterday. Don't you wish you could access that piece of your life that's missing? Find the beauty, serenity, family fun, or anything else that's missing from your life in the Cedar City, Bryan Head area. Gain access to your adventure, whether it's camping, hiking, the arts, festivals, or just a getaway. Visit ScenicSouthernUtah.com for details on all the adventures that you can access in scenic Southern Utah.
Park City, Utah. The name is familiar with people from all over the world. It's a cozy little ski town about half an hour from Salt Lake City. A perfect venue for families in the winter and summer months. Take a stroll down historic Main Street, or check out the many Olympic venues that dot the region. The food and nightlife in Park City is second to none. So when you're planning your next trip, make sure to include Park City. It's a destination for all seasons. And today it is jam-packed with cycling fans ready to welcome home the stage winner and the overall champion. Fans have been here all day long. They sent these riders off at a little before noon, and they are just gathering now to watch them come in to downtown. Right now, the three leaders here. We've got the two Lampre Merida, including Chris Horner, and then Tom Danielson on the tail end there in the yellow jersey, your overall race leader. Winner Anacona, working for not only himself, but also obviously his team leader, Chris Horner, the man who is the closest to Danielson in the chase for yellow. But he started the day 57 seconds behind, 5K left to the King of the Mountain before they crest the summit. And there you see the man trying to bridge the gap here. We've talked about him, Todd. He's trying to get up and join this group before they get over the summit.
Well, the thing I think about Kelderman, who's chasing this group with Horner now coming to the front, is Kelderman is a fantastic time trialist when he's on good form. A couple of years ago at the Dauphiné, on a 34-mile time trial, he finished fourth between three of the fastest time trialists in the world. So as it flattens out a little bit here, over in the closing miles, it's 3 miles to the top for these guys. I think Kelderman is just going to keep the pressure on, and he's eventually going to catch up to these guys. That's my prediction. That being stated, it looks like Chris Horner is not going to make it easy on him, because he is certainly driving it incredibly hard on that front group of three.
You know, interestingly, before yesterday's stage 6, Horner talked to us about loving the mano-a-mano challenge that he was facing with Tom Danielson. All kinds of interesting conversation with him, but he said, hey, isn't that why you guys do television? You love the one-on-one that we provide for you, we being riders in general. And he said, I embrace the fact that it's a one-on-one. Yes, it's a team sport, but it's also one-on-one, and right now, he's trying to make a statement to Tom Danielson. Back with more in just a minute.
From construction to refinancing or your first home.
This is perfect.
A mortgage from Zions Bank can help you get that perfect home for your family. Visit a Zions Bank Financial Center to get pre-approved for the home of your dreams today.
Our mission at Burns & McDonnell is to make our clients successful. With over 50% of my CAD team coming from ITT Tech, the relationship we've built is essential in the recruiting process.
Make a choice that can make a difference. Financial aid is available for students who qualify. To find out more, call 1-800-ITT-TECH or visit us on the web. ITT Technical Institute. Education for the future.
Do you suffer from constipation? And are you taking a prescription opioid pain medication like OxyContin, Percocet, or Lortab? If so, call Lifetree Clinical Research. You may qualify to participate in a research study and be compensated up to $1,125 for time and travel. Overnight stays required. You must be at least 18 to take part in the study. Call Lifetree Clinical Research at 801-269-8200. That's 801-269-8200. Or visit lifetreeresearch.com.
Lead group of three continues to win their way up Empire Pass before the descent into Park City. Stage 7 of the 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah. Stage 7 is presented by Valcom Barracuda, getting IT right. A little bit of drama while we were away just a few minutes ago, because now watch Anaconda, the man on the back, and Tom, he had problems. Tom Danielson gets away from him, and so does the teammate Chris Horner. What happened there, Todd?
Well, he threw the chain off of the front chain ring, and then he got it back on. Now he's in the big chain ring. He closed it down, and then put it back in the little ring. So could have been a lot worse than it was, because he didn't even have to get off the bike, and that's very hard to do uphill, because the only way to get the chain back on the chain ring is to very gingerly soft pedal. If you have any pressure on that, you can't get it on without getting off the bike and doing it manually with your hand.
It speaks to the potential for problems, however, even when you think you're going well, and that's why nothing is secure until you cross that finish line.
So winner Anacona, by the way, the teammate of Chris Horner, only 25 years of age. Chris Horner, 42 years of age. And he is just continues to impress me every single day I see him riding like this. Most guys, when they get to his age, they just don't have the stuff in the big mountains like this anymore. But last year and this year, Chris has been pretty impressive.
Yeah, but the old fella's still on the front.
Well, he sure is. And certainly Tom Danielson doesn't look like he's in trouble. But, you know, let's face it, there are 120 guys, or 100, well, fewer than 120 guys left in the race. Chris Horner, the second oldest guy in the race to Jens Vogt, and here he is driving this front group, and Kelderman still scrapping his way up there. And man, if he catches them, boy, he certainly earned it.
Well, they're not counting him out, and you notice they keep checking over their shoulders. They know Kelderman's there, not moving fast enough that the only thing really in their ears is their heartbeat and the noise from behind them. Tom Danielson took a little look over his shoulder. Now Kelderman really has closed that down.
These are the little moments when that front group takes it easy and Kelderman just keeps the pressure on, and he has now made contact. These little flat sections, there's a fair amount of draft, and they're short, but it gives you a little bit of respite, and you can maybe take a drink. But it's very hard because you're breathing so hard. You get that water in your mouth, you end up sucking it in your lungs, and then you have a problem. Then you're coughing.
Lead group officially at 4 riders now. We'll step aside, back with more coverage here on our final stage, Stage 7.
To say that we are born in the mountains is to say that we are sturdy. We are a gaggle of rebellious hearts and well-worn pants. We are a certain kind of relaxed fit, full of fearless tries, with a love of the wild and a spine-filled need to jump. These mountains have taught us to grow up fearless and rebellious, and to question everything. It's a short life. Wear it well. Cool clothing. Born in the mountains.
This is what we've been waiting for. And here he goes. He's using all of his tools to his advantage, but boy, is he making this look easy. There he goes, gets into space, jukes left, and to the rack, and brings the hammer down. Oh, that's money.
Say hello to the game changer. The Larry H. Miller app is putting the mobile back in your automobile. Schedule a service appointment, browse our inventory, or stay on top of your car's needs, all through your smartphone. Available on the iTunes and Google Play app stores. Driven by you.
For Team Novo Nordisk, racing with diabetes is just another challenge to meet. The team likes their chances this season, especially while riding their carbon fiber Orbea Orca road bikes and Ordu time trial bikes. Orbea proudly supports Team Novo Nordisk in its mission to inspire, educate, and empower people affected by diabetes. Tell us what you're riding to overcome, and register to win a free Orbea bike at Orbea.com.
For 10 years, the Tour of Utah has brought together some of the world's best professional cyclists to compete in America's toughest stage race. For over 100 years, University of Utah Healthcare has been a world leader in research to advance health, education for the professionals of tomorrow, and compassionate quality healthcare for the people of the great American West. The official medical provider for the Tour of Utah.
Four leaders out front here on the Empire Stage, Stage 7 of the Tour of Utah. Started with 78 miles in front of them, and now just 10.8 kilometers to go, and most of that is going to be downhill in just a few moments. 6.7 miles to translate it non-metrically. Danielson, the yellow jersey, Chris Horner, his closest competitor, Horner's teammate winner Anacona, and then Wilco Kelderman, who has bridged the gap as well.
A great job by Kelderman. That man must have died 1,000 deaths over those couple of miles where he was in between groups trying to get across, and he was just dangling there. Well, now here's yesterday's winner, Cadel Evans and Carter Jones, and they are just behind. Now, I will tell you something. Cadel Evans goes downhill like a madman when there's a stage win on the line. If he catches them, watch Cadel Evans. He used to race on the mountain bike circuit, then he moved over to the road, and that guy goes downhill with some of the best in the business.
Got to get there first, however, and he's got to bridge that gap, which is 20 seconds between himself and the 4 up front.
I was riding with Carter Jones several weeks ago, maybe even a month ago in Boulder, Colorado, and bombing down some of these descents. And at the bottom, I said, you know, Carter, what always blows my mind, because I don't race anymore, is how fast you guys go downhill. And he goes, I wasn't even going fast.
Just past the 10-kilometer mark to the finish. 6.2 miles. Now the chase group there, Cadel Evans, Carter Jones, not that far behind, as you can see.
And Carter Jones is another guy that I spoke with this morning, and I said, Carter, any chance we'll see you go early? And he said, you know what? I'm just going to save it all for the final climb, because I really want to see the dude in the orange shorts waving this, I guess that's a beach blanket there.
Yeah, Speedo Man is the guy you got to look out for right there. And a look back, great crowd at the top here. Always one of the places that the crowd gets behind the riders, and you get that emotional lift as they come to the top of Empire Pass.
Now, there are not many sports where you can get that close to the Tour de France champion or the world champion. Like right there you have Cadel Evans, and unfortunately once in a while the crowd gets a little too close, but let's hope they make it through here unscathed.
Here's the 4. They'll kind of traverse. This is somewhat where Guardsman Pass joins Empire, and then they've seen this area yesterday the other way around. And now there's the chase group of 2, Cadel Evans, Carter Jones. 1 kilometer to the top.
So that's 0.6 of a mile for the lead 4. And then just 2 men behind them. We're seeing 15 seconds to Evans and Jones. And Horner's doing a lot of work here on the front, and I think I know why. I think he knows that it's Cadel back there, and he knows Cadel goes downhill really fast. And we saw the interview with Craig Hummer and Chris Horner earlier today. Horner really wants to get a stage win. He says wins are hard to come by, and believe me, anytime you get a chance to win, you better take it, because they don't come often.
Tom Danielson right behind. Of course, Chris Horner on the front, and they'll just continue to exchange. And where do you think you start to press at this point? Those 4 come together. You hit the top of the descent. It is a switchback series of descents. It's not easy to pass, is it?
Well,
it's wide enough.
Yeah, I think it's wide enough. I mean, Danielson was first over. If memory serves, Danielson was first over last time, but he wasn't very far in front of Mancebo. Mancebo caught him on the descent, and Javier Acevedo also caught him on the descent, and Danielson ended up 3rd on the stage. So there's definitely room to pass. It's a really fast descent, and it has some pretty sharp corners. Now, these guys should know the descent at this point, and there it is. Horner leads them over the top, the final climb of this year's race, and it has been an absolute doozy in the mountains.
Almost 58,000 feet of climbing. There goes Cadel Evans starting to make his move, and Carter Jones trying to stay on his wheel as they go over the top as well.
And Carter Jones knows that he has to get on that wheel and get in the draft of Cadel, because if Cadel is motivated, he will absolutely light this descent up and try and make it up to the lead 4 riders.
And there is the lead 4, and this is one of those hairpins that we talked about. And right off the top, there are several of them right here.
It's very tricky in this first part. It opens up a little bit later on. And look at that, Cadel has already started to distance himself from Carter Jones. Carter is not one of the best in the peloton at descending. He's good, but Cadel is literally one of the best. And you rarely see Cadel go for it. He only does it when it counts.
Give you a little perspective there on what they're looking at. A little separation now in that lead 4.
So Anacona is the man on the back, and it is Horner actually leading it down the descent. And Horner, you got to realize Chris Horner has had some pretty bad accidents in his career, including getting hit by a car earlier this year when he was training by Lake Como, Lago di Como in Italy. And you got to put that fear behind you, because when you're going down these climbs, you got to think about being fluid, being loose, being smooth, and being confident on the descent.
Got to look at Cadel Evans. He was coming into the top of that turn as they were going out the bottom of it.
And Anacona here struggling a little bit to stay on the wheel of the man in front of him, Wilco Kelderman.
Question is, can Cadel Evans close? You see the distance. He goes wide to go through the apex of that turn, and now makes the right-hand turn just behind the lead group. And down they come, down Empire Pass. Huge crowd awaits them at the bottom. Main Street, Park City, and they will be finished with this 10th tour of Utah in just a few minutes. Biggest drama, of course, who's going to win the stage, because it looks like right now that the yellow is going to stay in the possession of Tom Danielson. That would be back-to-back championships for him.
You can see back there behind our leaders, Cadel Evans. He is not very far behind. He continues to close that gap, and Horner continues to set the pace on the descent. Tom Danielson, he doesn't have to do anything except for follow the wheels, and then if he finds himself in position at the end, well, then he can go for a stage win.
All right, if the stage win is to be contested and they come out, you've got a sprint finish here. Which one of these guys do you like? I guess Cadel Evans, if he closes, may be the best sprinter of the group. Who would you like in this group?
I'd also like Kelderman, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One, he's not riding on the front right now, so he's saving energy. And Danielson, yeah, he's going to be motivated to win the last stage, but he's also going to be relieved that nothing happened to him today. So Cadel, who is looking like he's going to make contact, is going to try and go 2 for 2. And Kelderman, who's following the wheels right now, he's going to look to upset these guys for a stage win as well.
Evans about to join that group and make it a 5-some right off the top. There he is, just coming past the moto, and Cadel Evans has made up a big series of turns here and has really closed down since the top, since the summit.
It just, you know, the thing about Cadel Evans is he's tenacious, and most bike riders are. Kelderman has now gone to the front for the first time since we've seen these guys together, and Cadel actually suffering a little bit on this little bit of a bump because he's been chasing so hard.
And now the group of 5 includes Cadel Evans, number 21, with a little water there. He can sit on a wheel to maybe get a little bit of a rest. Exerted a lot of energy to make that gap.
And look at this, is the cream of the crop. We got Danielson, the overall leader, Horner, who came into the day in 2nd, Anacona, who came into the day in 4th, and Evans, who came into the day in, is it 6th place? Indeed, 6th place for Evans coming in. So we're missing a couple men. We're missing Ben Hermans, who started the day in 3rd. And that's the guy who is the big loser right now, because some other guys look like they may leapfrog him and get him off the podium overall.
Just past the 4K mark. Oh, yeah, Evans.
That was a little scary.
A little bit of a wobble there, but he's back on form again. And he'll just tuck in behind. That's the group of 5.
Yeah, so look at Cadel, but also look at a couple of riders in front of him. Let's see where it was there. Actually, it was the second man on the road. That was Chris Horner, went a little bit wide there. It just misjudged it a teeny bit, and then once you start to go wide, then you start to get scared. You get a little bit stiff, and then it basically sends you off the road. So you gotta stay loose, and you gotta believe. Weight the outside pedal. Up, get a little bit of weight off your saddle so that your weight is not high. It's down low on your outside foot. And then lead with your head and your shoulder and let that bike follow.
Everybody just kind of getting a little bit of a rest right now, because they all know that coming into town, it's going to be one intense thing, and that is Park City in the distance. When they come into town, they've got that circuit around it, and then to finish up Main Street. So you're going to get a look at some sprinting. There's the speed, 55 miles an hour is what they're coming down, and that's a restful descent right now.
Yeah, they're just sitting up right now. They're not even really tucking and attacking this descent. 55 miles an hour, 2K to go, 1.2 miles for these guys. And I'm wondering if Cadel is going to pull some sort of wily move, just like he did yesterday on a completely different type of finish. Yesterday into Snowbird, he had to chase down Joey Rosskopf, the 24-year-old American, over the top and come around him. And today, it's a descent. Can he make it 2 in a row?
Saw the little traffic island there and the signal There's not much of a problem here, not like Europe with the traffic islands. Now Cadel getting everything squared away, I think, for this last push.
Yeah, a lot of guys will empty everything out of their pockets. They'll eject their bottles, so they have no extra weight when they need to jump and accelerate.
All right, they'll be approaching the 1K banner, the Energy Solutions 1K arch coming up. You see it just in the foreground there. Of course, the stage win is important, but also the yellow more important. And Tom Danielson, unless mishap occurs, looks to have claimed his second consecutive yellow jersey. The question is, who's going to win this stage? It's any one of 5 men now as they come to the roundabout at the top of Main Street.
And Danielson not really known for his sprinting prowess. He's really known as a climber, so he can breathe that big sigh of relief. He's actually on the front right now. Actually, I didn't get a good look. It looks like he's actually in the middle. And so he is just watching these other guys as they come into the finish. And Danielson maybe will bring them home and not even try for the stage win here, because they will certainly sprint off of his wheel.
Yeah, Cadel Evans had to go to the right side of Danielson, who did pull off. Evans now looks like he came from the outside, and he takes the lead into Park City. It's Cadel Evans, the man who won yesterday's stage with a last-minute sprint. Can he do it again? Look at the crowds lining Park City, and Cadel Evans on the pedals. Cadel Evans says, I want 2 for 2, and Tom Danielson has the yellow. Cadel Evans has the stage. Tom Danielson, second year in a row, he is the champion of the Tour of Utah.
A fantastic ride by the entire Garmin Shark team once again, but Tom Danielson has to have the legs to finish it off all on his own there, controlling Horner, Anacona, Evans, and Kelderman. The stage wasn't so important. The yellow was the big prize for him, and Cadel's got to be very happy as well, getting the last 2 stages.
And how about that, Matt? Tom Danielson, he had a plan. The plan came together. 2-time defending champion. Claims this 10th edition of the Tour of Utah.
He put so much of the importance of his season on this race. He spent 6 weeks training specifically for this in Tucson, up Mount Lemmon, which is over 9,000 feet at the top, and doing these big rides in preparation for this. And here's Cadel Evans coming to the line. He swooped him into the last 2 corners and powered it all the way to the line for 2 in a row. What a great job for Cadel.
Just like yesterday, timing is everything. Of course, the story, however, is Tom Danielson with his second consecutive Tour of Utah title. He looks good in yellow.
He looks great. You know, I think everybody looks good in yellow in the sport of bike racing.
How much does it mean to him? Well, we heard earlier, he said, I've got a plan. I plan on being by myself going up Empire Pass, and indeed that's what he was, all by himself, no teammates to help him, but he knew what he had to do. He'd been there before, and he comes down with the win. Meantime, Chris Horner comes up just a little bit short. Good Tour of Utah, though, for him, especially coming off the bronchitis. You can see laboring there, and now talking with his teammate.
Yeah, you saw actually Chris was just hacking a little bit there as well.
Look at the stage results. Cadel Evans of BMC with the win. Wilco Kelderman, who closed that gap, came in for second. Winner Anacona, the Colombian, the teammate of Chris Horner, got third. Horner with fourth. Tom Danielson with fifth.
Great job by all those guys. Carter Jones, who went over the top of Empire Pass with Cadel Evans, but couldn't follow him on the descent. 6th at 9 seconds. Ben Hermans maybe losing that podium spot today for BMC. George Bennett, we saw him attacking. Great job by him. Lachlan Norris for Drapac, and Yannick Eisen, the young man for BMC as well, up there in the top 10.
So Tom Danielson with the win of the yellow finishes 5th overall today, but number 1 overall for the Tour. Back with him later.
With sleep, it isn't just the quantity that matters, it's the quality that matters as well. So that's why you've got to get into RC Willey and check out their amazing selection of quality mattresses.
If you can't sleep, your mattress may be to blame. Right now, you can save up to $500 on name brand mattresses, including Tempur-Pedic, Beautyrest, Serta, and Heirloom. Twin sets start at $79 each piece, and queen sets are as low as $299.
RC Willey, your home, your way.
Don't miss country music superstar Phil Vassar in concert Monday, August 18th at the Sarah Shell Outdoor Theater in Orem. Billboard Country Songwriter of the Year, Phil Vassar in concert under the stars at the Sarah Shell Outdoor Theater in Orem, Monday, August 18th. For tickets, call 801-225-ARTS or online at Sierra.org. Sponsored by Orem City Care Program, the Daily Herald, Trio, Xfinity, Timpanogos Regional Hospital, Utah County, JTV, and 101.5 The Eagle.
I guess you can say influence comes in all shapes and sizes. It can push you around and make you feel stupid. It can pressure you to do things you're not really into, and to try to fit in no matter what. It's when you start to recognize the influences around you that you can stand up and just be yourself. My name's Gina, and this is what Above the Influence means to me.
What is an Affordable Dentures moment? It's when you realize you got your smile back in just one day at a price you didn't think possible. It's knowing you were treated with dignity and respect. For same-day dentures, extractions, and implants, call 1-800-DENTURE or go to affordabledentures.com for valuable coupons. Please don't put this off. You deserve a healthy and beautiful smile.
The 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah has been brought to you by University of Utah Healthcare. Your choice, our experts. LHMauto.com. Click it, get it, drive it. Larry H. Miller dealerships driven by you. The Utah Sports Commission. Utah, the state of sport. And by the Utah Office of Tourism. Life elevated.
And now, time to take a look at the Postcard of the Day as we welcome you back. Postcard of the Day presented by the Utah Office of Tourism. Some of the scenery traversed today in Stage 7, the Empire Stage. Beautiful scenery, great way to finish the race. Welcome to Utah, home to the Mighty 5 National Parks. Begin planning your next life-elevating adventure at visitutah.com. Well, a look at the final overall GC standings. Tom Danielson, 52 seconds the margin, so Chris Horner shaved 5 seconds off the margin to start the day, and Ben Hermans hangs on. You've got winner Anacona in there and Wilco Kelderman, but the win goes to Tom Danielson. Unofficial results may have some adjustments based on time, but we know that the number one individual there is Tom Danielson, and that's really all that matters for him. He's got that yellow jersey for the second year in a row. What a feat. He wins last year and successful defense against this field this year.
The best field we've ever had in the toughest race we've ever had in the 10th edition. And, you know, I'll tell you something. When you're the defending champion, everybody looks at you and your team all day long from day number one. And so that team, Garmin Sharp, did a fantastic job to defend because they were what everybody was shooting for.
All right, we'll take the break. We'll be back and hear from our winner right after this. 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah winding up in Park City.
That gray din we call the inversion is nothing new to the Wasatch Front, but it doesn't have to be.
Washakie Renewable Energy, a proud partner of the Tour of Utah, is leading the Intermountain West to a future where our air is clear, clean, and healthy. WRE produces 20 million gallons of biodiesel annually from sustainable products, including used cooking oil, which cuts air pollutants by nearly 200,000 tons. To turn your used cooking oil into a greener tomorrow, go to grease2green.com or look for WRE at the Tour of Utah.
You're my storyteller. You're my bucking bronco. You're my protector from closet monsters. You're my shoe tire. You're my macaroni and cheese maker. You're my Saturday morning cartoon buddy. You're my alley fixer. You're my catcher, pitcher, fielder, and coach. But if you get hurt at work, all that can change. So please be careful out there. Be careful out there. Please be careful. A message from Workers' Compensation Fund.
The celebration in Park City continues as the 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah is now wrapping up. Stage 7 is in the books, and Tom Danielson, well, he ends the tour this year where he ended it last year, and that is in the winner's jersey. The yellow jersey goes to the young man from Garmin Sharp. Craig Hummer is standing by with Tom Danielson. Craig?
Tom, I tell you what, you let the emotion finally show on stage, then you went directly to your wife, Stephanie. What's this been like to be able to share with her?
That's actually my girlfriend, Courtney.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, it was just incredible emotion all week. You know, it was hard from being the defending champion. You know, we had the pressure all week. The guys, you know, three guys coming from the Tour de France. Gavin with that bad crash. It's been a really tough week, I'll be honest with you. And the team has been phenomenal. And today, you know, they rode awesome. We had everything thrown at us in the beginning. Lots of chaos, lots of craziness. The team sold out. They did great. And then it was up to me in the end. And a lot of headwind on the climb today, so I just ended up riding smart. I got it down to Chris and his teammate just like yesterday, and I said, you know, you guys do your thing. I'm gonna be safe.
You knew that you were going to have to do it on your own, as you said today, but let's look ahead. You've got a week in Colorado now. Last year you were third. How does your form compare going into next week's racing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a lot better, but you know, racing's racing. So I'm gonna savor this, and this is a huge win for me and my Garmin Sharp team and my teammates, and we're gonna celebrate that tonight.
Congratulations on a great week.
Thanks a lot.
Well, he was happy to start. He's happy to finish. When you wind up in yellow, successful defense, what does that mean?
It's huge for him and the entire team of Garmin Sharp. They knew that he had the form, and they rode like champions all week long, but he still had to be able to back it up, and that's exactly what he did.
And I think you made the point a few minutes ago that this was the best field ever assembled for the Tour of Utah, and he still comes out on top. He had those 3 Grand Tour winners in there, and yet he still maintains top spot.
Yeah, he's got a lot to be happy about, and this is a guy who didn't have a great early part of the season, and this is really just time for him to come out and flourish, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Does this elevate him on the national and the world stage?
Every time you win a race of this caliber, it elevates you, so you got to take it when you can.
Well, he's got some wins over some pretty impressive names at the end of this week as well, so, you know, you got to look for the name Tom Danielson. Not a young buck, but he is an upcoming rider still and really rounding in to the best form of his career with this win today. So you got to be pleased for him and his Garmin Sharp team and all the riders for this year's Tour of Utah. For Craig Hummer and Todd Gogolski, I'm Steve Brown. That will wrap up the 10th Tour of Utah. The winner, Tom Danielson. Hoffman's still out in front by about a length, and will Hoffman have enough to hold off? He does! And Hoffman with the win in stage 1. A final push. Can they close the gap? Not quickly enough, as the finish line is right there for Michael Scheer.
the outside. He has opened it up. It's going to be Hoffman. 2 for 3.
Tom Danielson, the claim, stage 4 of the 2014 Larry H. Miller Tour of Utah, and he's feeling it.
There goes Young, open it up. Can Eric Young finally get a stage win here? It's going to be close. Young takes it to the line.
Comes Cadel Evans out of the saddle. The former Tour de France winner will win stage 6 of the Tour of Utah.
Bolder, better, badder than ever. Get ready for Cops Reloaded.
Get your hands up! Search performance stop! Weekdays at noon at 12:30 on KJazz.
Coming up on History of the Saints.
Is there war in our religion? No. Neither war nor bloodshed. Yet our enemies cry out, bloodshed, and oh, what dreadful men these Mormons are, how they slay and kill. Such is all nonsense and folly in the extreme. The wicked slay the wicked, and they will lay it on the saints. Brigham Young.